It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
This next one's from Alex. Alex, because we answered a 529 question earlier. Alex said, all right, if my state doesn't give you a tax break, so there's no tax incentive, should I do an UTMA or should I do a 529? So 529 is well, maybe, why don't you answer that? What are the differences in an UTMA custodial account and a 529? And how do I decide which one makes the most sense for my child?
Well, and I'm going to tell you, this is where I always challenge people to try to do both because they have completely different whys and completely different purposes. 529s, as their name implies, is for education. Now, here's the cool thing. Education has been expanded. The umbrella of education has been expanded to so many things that about every kid out there could benefit from this because this is what it will do. And not only it can do K through 12 private school. That's a newer thing in the last decade. It can now also, it's not just college. If your kid goes to trade school, it's going to serve them. I mean, we've used this for clients who their children went to beautician school, trade school, welding, heating and air repair. All that stuff is eligible for 529. And look, if you don't use it for the oldest kid, you can pass it down to the younger siblings. And then if you don't use it for the siblings, you can pass it up to you, the parents, if you want to go back to school. There's all kind of benefits, but it's for education. UGMAs, and the reason people like these custodial accounts for kids is because up until you get to a certain threshold, I believe it's a few $1,000s of investment income from these accounts, they're pretty much tax-free.
That's right, yeah.
Because, instead of at your higher parental tax rate, they're going to be at, the 0 to low tax rate for the kids. That creates a lot of incentive for you to start saving. And this is, and by the way, here's something I love. I'm the type of father that when I'm a girl's dad. I have two daughters. My oldest, when I knew I had a daughter, I was like, there's no way I'm paying for a $50,000 wedding. This is the stupidest thing that there's weddings that cost $35,000, $50,000, whatever they cost. So I said, you know what I'm going to start doing? When my daughter was born, I started doing $100 a month. And at some point, I don't know when, it turned to $200 a month. And that's it. That is all I've done in my daughter's custodial accounts. And I'm telling you, these things are getting big. I'm talking about we have now exceeded the $50,000 wedding, and we're working on house down payments, just from a very minimal savings. It's talking about automatic for the people creating wealth for your family and your kids. That's why custodial accounts are so powerful. And we still, by the way, now she does have to pay income taxes now because she works. My teenager is 17. But the investment income is still not generating taxes, even with that much money, because we're buying index funds. They don't generate a lot of taxable income. It's a really big win, and I think it's going to be a huge head start for her for whether it's weddings, house down payments. And don't forget the other tool that wasn't even asked in this question, the custodial Roth. As soon as your teenager starts working, and they have taxable earned income that you can, because you can do dollar for dollar up to what they earn in wages or self-employment income if they're babysitting, cutting grass, or whatever, and put that in a custodial Roth. And I always prime the pump. I wanted my daughter to be a saver and a builder of wealth, so I give her a dollar for dollar match, not to exceed what her earned income is, because you can't go over that threshold. And it has been very powerful in starting that engine of understanding the value of your army of dollar bills.
I love it. When it comes to, he has sort of if you're going to do both, a lot of folks end up asking me about a priority question. Should I do the 529 or the UTMA? Which one should I start first? Again, I like mathematics to sort of drive my decisions. I always recommend starting with the 529 because odds are you're going to need those dollars more quickly than you're going to need the UTMA or UGMA dollars if it's going to pay for wedding or house down payment or something in adulthood. Whereas those 529 assets are going to pay for either college starting around 18 or potentially even K through 12 if it's in private school.
I think it's the intersection of the numbers plus life and the fact that, look, also 529 funding a lot of times has some tax benefits because tax-free growth trumps just the kids.
Just growth.
And growth. And then the other thing is that, look, I think education has a lot of value, whereas the other things I mentioned that's a privilege to be able to pay for a wedding or to have a house down payment. On the priorities that's what I call first world problems right there. So that's what education though, I still look at as the ladder out of adversity. Both of us don't come from resources, but because we were good students, education was the way out. So that puts it in a higher tier than some of those other life savings goals.
Love it.